and a good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you, the good and wonderful people of the tube. Hope you're feeling grand, and also when you want, hello everybody. Today's vid, everybody, I have this gorgeous, gorgeous guitar to show you. This is an Aria Pro 2 STG series Strat. And I know you technically can't call it a Strat, but it's a Strat, isn't it? Let's be honest. How cool does this thing look? I mean, oh my lord, it's stunning. The burst is really strange. The amber section here is got really kind of almost kind of white, kind of maple kind of colour, and then you get the kind of the red's not really red. It's kind of a bit more of a kind of a orange, and then you get the black on the outside. It's a very much like a late kind of like 60s kind of more Strat burst. But my god, it looks absolutely stunning. Got a green guard on there. It's ridiculous. These things are silly cheap. These things are amazing as well. They're so... they're ridiculous. However, there is a negative. I'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, first things first, let's talk specs. So, what we got? Green scratch plate, 5-way selector. It's wired in the same way. You know, it's standard Strat kind of wiring, so there is no tone control on the bridge pickup. It's a basswood body. It's the MVB tremolo. It's a big block. Full-size block tremolo. The tremolo feels amazing. It feels really, really nice. What we got? How many frets is it? 22? Yeah, 22. I've got a cheat sheet here. 22 frets. The pickups are just called OS. The OS ones, single coils. They're basically just kind of like vintage, kind of sounding... I think they're ceramic style pickups. They've got that vintage stagger though. Hopefully you can kind of see that. Yeah. So they've got that vintage stagger on the pole pieces. It just gives it that kind of amazingly classic Strat tone. It's ridiculous. Oh my god. We are spoiled with cheap guitars in this day and age, people tube, that are literally stunning. Absolutely stunning. Maple neck. The fretboard, I have no idea what that is. It says it's rosewood. It definitely isn't. I don't know what this wood is. It definitely is not. That is not rosewood fretboard, people of the tube. If anybody knows what that is, let me know. To me, it looks like maple that's been. I think it's called thermally treated or something like that. Anyway, it's basically maple that they kind of like. They do something to it, and it kind of goes almost like rosewood. It's strange. It's not like... Because I was thinking, was it Lignum Rosa, which is what Revelation use on their guitars, but it doesn't quite have the same kind of grain look. It looks like maple that they've kind of like discoloured to make it look like rosewood. It's definitely not rosewood though, people tube, so... I don't know why they're saying it's rosewood in the specs. You got vintage style frets. They're very, very thin and very, very, not very, very low, but they're very low. It's kind of a vintage spec kind of thing. We've got a kind of plastic nut, Clouson style machine heads, locking machine heads, because the string goes in, it does lock in. I love the headstock on this thing. How cool is that? And the font as well. The Aria Pro 2 font. Oh my god, is that filth. As well, look at the wood grain on the neck. Let me take the strap off so I can show you. Look at that. I don't know how I'll be able to see this, but that's not a naff bit of wood at all there, people tube, I'll tell you. I do believe the body's a 5-piece body. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's a 4-piece. I tell a lie. It's a 4-piece body. You have truss rod access here, which is awesome. I love it when truss rod access is there or up there. I don't like it when it's here and you have to take the neck off to get to it, vintage style. That gets on my nerves. In all fairness, you don't really have to mess with truss rods. Great deal, to be honest with you. This thing, though, is solid as a rock. The build quality, the finish, the fit, everything about this thing is amazing. It really is. Having a full-size trem block as well really is a godsend. Because the skinny trem blocks, I find, they're okay, but they only can hack a certain amount of abuse, whereas this one, you can kind of go to town on it a bit more and not really worry too much about it. But this thing is amazing. However, there is one major issue, people with a tube, and that is the width of the neck, E to E. The width of this neck is huge. I think it's it's and this doesn't sound like a lot, but it feels it when you play it. Each side of its neck, all the way down, is a millimetre bigger than any other neck I have. Fenders, the Jet guitars, Squiers. The width of this neck is a millimetre each side. So you got a millimetre extra on the high E and a millimetre extra on the low E. And I've been around all my guitars measuring them. And this one is the widest by far. And that, people of YouTube, rules this out to me as being a beginner guitar. I can't recommend this to beginners because of that reason. This neck, although very comfortable, it really is. I mean, my God, is it comfortable? The width of it is silly. And in all fairness, it really upset me, to be honest with you, because this guitar, I can't play it for hours and hours and hours and days because it tires my hand out because of that extra width in the neck. The neck itself is like a D-shaped neck. Well, it's not really a C-shape. There's kind of a bit more of a flat kind of back to it here. Well, that is with mine. I don't know if that's kind of like as standard, but it's not really a C-shape. And I say just the width of it. I mean, it's bigger than my Les Pauls. It's wider than my Les Pauls. It's wider than the Tokai and I measured it against my friend Mike's Gibsons, and it's literally wider than them, and that's a bit ridiculous. I don't really know why they did that, because it just makes for a bit of a problem. And that's my main criticism of the guitar, PowerTube. The fit, finish, sound, everything about this guitar is perfect. The neck width, E to E, is just letting it down something rotten, and it's really sad and it's really upsetting because this guitar is amazing, but it will my hand gets tired out on it after a while. It's very easy to play, the guitar play, it's so easy to play. The action's amazing, the fretwork is amazing, there's no fret sprout, none of that. It just plays amazingly, but the neck is so wide. I've even contemplated actually planing the sides of the neck off just to get it down to a bit more, like recarving it basically, but that means I don't have to get frets, and I'm not doing that. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. But I do love this guitar, but like I say, because of that, I can't recommend it as a beginner's guitar. I would I'd feel a lot happier recommending like the Squier Bullet or the Jet JS 300, the Jet especially. That guitar is just, to me, the Jet JS 300 is the best budget guitar out there at this point in time. It's just insane. It really is. I mean, I can't speak highly enough about the Jet guitars. I really can't. They're just insane. And I hope to buy some more as well, people. I really want to get a Telecaster, and we'll get some more of their guitars to show on the channel. But like I say, this guitar is amazing. I just can't put it into the beginner territory because I feel this neck, the width, is going to be a hindrance to learning, and it's just going to tire your hand out, and it's just not the best, and that really is upsetting. I mean, they feel great. They really do feel great, but I think if you're a beginner, I think this is a no-no. This is for somebody who's been playing for a while and can kind of get behind it, so to say. But for a beginner, not really, which is very, very annoying, PowerTube, because this guitar is so cheap and so good. It's an amazing budget guitar. And also, this is one of my gigging guitars now as well. I'm using this for gigging. My main gigging guitars at this point in time are the Chapman Pro X, my Jet JS 300, and this. And I'm happy. And this one kind of goes between E flat and standard. The Jet's in standard tuning all the time. The Chapman's in E flat all the time. This one goes between either, and this is just kind of like depending on, because this one's got a bit more of the Jet's got a really kind of nice kind of strat tone. The Chapman's got a bit more mids to it. This one's got a little bit more of a cutting kind of tone. So if sometimes I want a little bit more, I go for this one. And but I can't play it for too long. Again, the width of the neck, E to E, is a pig. Anyway, other than that, these guitars are amazing, and I really do highly recommend going to try one. If, they're worth trying, because you never know. But be aware of these neck. I don't know if it's just this one in particular, but just beware of the width of these necks. They are a bit on the massive side. Anyway, PeopleTube, that's enough talking. Like I say, we've gone through specs, gone through its negative. Let's just focus on the positive now of how good this thing sounds. So let me reset the camera up and let you hear this thing in isolation on its own, with just some effects off the board. Going through the CR120 as usual into the Magic Cab behind me. So let's plug it back in and make some noise with the Aria Pro STG series. Aria Pro 2, sorry, should I say. Okay, so let's make some noise. Okay, there you go. That's the sounds of the Aria Pro 2 STG series guitar in isolation. That's just kind of like using the usual pedals that I always kind of use. I've got videos on that. People who have been here long enough will have seen what I use. Okay, so it sounds immense. This thing sounds absolutely amazing. It looks amazing. It feels amazing. The neck is a pig because of that width, and it just... You can just feel it. You can just feel it. I mean, it might not bother some people, but it's just kind of there for me, and I just kind of like... It kind of grates on me a little bit, because it's just every now and again I just kind of go for things, and I can feel my hand being a bit kind of like... That's a bit wide. Anyway, it's not really the biggest problem, but I can't recommend this for beginners. But these are amazing. I really do recommend going to check them out and trying them out, because you never know. You might really love it. And I love this one. And I've got to say a massive thanks to Mike as well, because this is a gift from my friend Mike. So Mike, thank you so much indeed. I love this guitar. It's going to get a lot of use, and it's going to get a lot of, definitely a lot of playing. It's more of a live guitar for me, this one, so it won't appear in as many videos after this one, but because it's more of a live guitar, so it's going to kind of like live in that world, so to say. But I will drag it out occasionally for videos, and just let you just know it's still amazing, because it is amazing. I love this thing. I love the pickups. I love the way the volume control feels. I love the select switch. The tremolo feels amazing. As long as your strings are stretched, this thing doesn't move on the tuning too much. You know, that's still in tune from a crazy tremolo abuse I was giving it. They're just amazing. Absolutely amazing. I do recommend the Jets over this. The Jet JS300. Just because of the neck width more than anything. Because other than that, they're kind of the same spec. But the necks on the Jet, I would say, are definitely more kind of user-friendly. This one is a little bit too wide for me to recommend for beginners or kind of anybody wanting to get into kind of Strat-style guitars or anything like that. I don't really know why they've done that. I really don't. Anyway, PeopleTube, I hope you enjoyed this vid. I say what we're going to do now is basically just going to get lost in it for the outro. And yeah, just see what comes out of it and just basically have a jam and have some fun with it and see where we go with it. And yeah, if you like this video, PeopleTube, please consider becoming a patron at Patreon. Patron at Patreon, link to that in the description box below. There's also a link to my merch store on Teespring. There's also a link there as well to my Bandcamp where you can find music from me and my band, the Dave Simpson Trio, and also our other incantations. So yeah, other than that, PeopleTube, Aria Pro, Aria Pro 2 STG series, amazing guitars, amazing value for money. These things sound play amazingly. Go and check them out, really. But again, just be aware of that neck, the width on the neck. Other than that, amazing guitars. And yeah, thank you much indeed for watching, PeopleTube. Your support really means the world to me. Thank you so much indeed. And I'll see you again very soon for another video. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. And have a great weekend. And I'll see you on Monday for another vid. And yeah, until then, goodbye now. Thank you much indeed for watching.